Hey, Tom No from Atomic Enrollment. Today, we're going to go over a case study of how we're helping a woman's career coaching program hit $1 million in new revenue through our advertising and more specifically through a live webinar funnel with a 4x return on advertising. So walk through it from start to finish. Some background on the program. This program helps a woman in corporate basically get promotions or into new roles, elevated roles, women who feel stuck. And basically, historically, they do really well just primarily through organic. Their organic channels, great brand, great founder, great team. And basically, they were stuck. They couldn't crack advertising. And when we started, the main reason was because they couldn't get the messaging right. Because attracting your clientele on organic versus advertising is much different. Doing more like direct response versus like nurturing somebody for months, weeks, years through your organic channels, quote unquote, for free. So basically they were taking their playbook from organic, running it into, meta advertising and spending money on ads, a decent amount on ads, and not making it work on live webinars. They were running it for about 6 months at about less than a break even, barely 1x ROAS. And the first thing we did was we came in and identified, rebuilt the entire messaging specifically for advertising. So, you got to understand who the core audience is. And we came in and basically we rebuilt all their ads, directly calling out the avatar, but also going into the deep reasons why someone would sign up for this. Historically, their advertising messaging and positioning of the offer and the webinar itself was, hey, if you feel stuck or if you feel unheard of in your workplace, come to this webinar and feel heard. It needed to be way more direct, offer a lot more value. That works for organic, kind of someone who's known you for months following you, but that's not going to work for someone who's new to you and you're going to impress them in 10 seconds. You got to get to the point and really draw out the core value messaging in a couple seconds and then build a case around it, why they should stick around and ultimately come to the webinar and ultimately become a client, become an enrollment. So we came in, just understood the avatar really well, called out woman in corporate, called out specific type of corporate woman, even more specifically in the ads and in the funnel, women who are kind of at managerial levels, making at least like 100K a year in corporate roles in tech, and then talking about some of the pain points of not being heard, getting passed over for promotion. So yeah, we went really just direct in our hooks, and that basically did it to start because we basically saw the opportunity as the messaging and the positioning was wrong, therefore attracting the wrong people into the funnel. And no matter how good you do on the back end, if you're attracting the wrong people into your funnel, it's not going to convert. So it's a $8,000 program, basically getting people into a live webinar for about an hour, hour and a half. And our targets going in was $25 seat cost per lead for webinar registration, 4x ROAS. And they were aiming for a really higher close rate, pretty dialed in the back end. Here's a sneak peek into our dashboard. And, you can see we did close to $1 million in revenue. I actually broke 4x in ROAS, specifically from meta ads. And yeah, we're pretty much on target. And, we did financial modeling like this diligently to make sure we hit all our targets. So that's how, we did $1 million in new revenue and, they're going to scale it from there. So let's talk about what worked well. Specifically, it's the messaging, drawing out the specific messaging, positioning the webinar itself and the offer and the company So to start, just the founder talking head, redoing all their ads and then testing which hooks worked well and doubling down on that. And then the next part of the funnel was when they come to the webinar registration page, live webinar registration page, really calling out directly who this is for and what's the benefit they're going to get. In all their funnels, they were very vague and wishy-washy of hey, we're going to help you feel more fulfilled. Come to this webinar. Hence people weren't ready to open up their pocketbooks and start buying, right? They didn't understand. They weren't bringing in the right people. So we were very diligent about calling out the right women, over 125K in corporate, trying to go for high-level VP roles, breaking that $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in salary mark. Also, another thing we did diligently is the ICP, the avatar, is not women in government. We did not want to work with people in government. So we wanted to attract the right type of people and not attract the government people or people even. We did a lot of testing on this registration page, and basically there's more filtering on the back end. But most importantly, to start, we do not, training the pixel is very important. So we do not, someone who says they're working government, the pixel does not fire and it does not train the pixel to get more of those people. Only fired if it's people in corporate tech, these type of industries, then the pixel fired. We also have different variations of this form where we ask the salary ranges as well. So the pixel fired if it was within range of the salary as well. So yeah, the ads, positioning the ads, the landing page, lock in on the ICP, rebuilding the post-registration thank you page, rebuilding the sequences and email drips on the back end, on the text messaging. And basically, one of our most successful weeks so far, we spent about $10,000 in advertising, turned it into $93,000 in revenue. That's almost a 9x ROAS. When we started was founder-led sales. So the founder was doing a lot of the closing, hence like really high close rates. But we advise them on making sure, hey, you guys can close still without the founder being involved. And, we're at 2 salespeople now. So yeah, initially we're testing a lot of stuff. It's not always good opening up the funnel, meaning like not doing much filtering on the front end to keep your cost per lead artificially low, because training the pixel is very important. You got to find that fine balance. For us to start, finding that fine balance was finding women in corporate and then removing everything else from the pixel. That got us in a sweet spot, about $25 cost per lead, still bringing a good quality leads. And now we're on average in the past few months or so, 4x ROAS, but we consistently break 4x ROAS, and 4x ROAS was our target, and we're hitting target, which is a great spot to be. We also advise them on helping the webinar quality itself. They did a lot of good work on the webinar itself as well. They did a lot of testing. They were diligent, but we specifically advised them on the call to action, because they basically had a call to action saying like, hey, they do this like scorecard type of thing. Like, we have a scorecard, kind of assess where you're at in your career, and we're going to help you how to fix to where what position you want to be in your career. They were selling the scorecard as just like a friendly type of call conversation and not framing it as like, hey, there's something to buy here. Hence, the show rate was down, the close rate was down, not where it should have been. And we helped them reframe that call to action on the webinar. Just be more direct, like, hey, if we're going to assess where you're at with the scorecard, but if there's an opportunity to help you get to where you want to be through our program, we're going to show you how. Simple as that. So we got to a place where, now we're like 70-80% of the right people on the live webinar through the messaging, the ads, the funnel, the filtering. And they got the back end pretty dialed in on the sales side. As they started going away from founder-led sales, founder doing this closing calls, the founder is still involved. We prioritize her calendar for the hot leads. So yeah, moral of the story, the secret sauce of making a live webinar work, any type of funnel work, is you got to attract the right type of people. And that's done through the messaging, the hooks, and the positioning of the webinar and the call itself and the funnel itself. So if, whether you're doing a live webinar funnel or a call funnel, like, hey, schedule a call and speak to us, you got to sell that call to action specifically well, but also position it as like, hey, we have something to sell you. This isn't a bait and switch, because that's what they, initially this client was doing. You come to the webinar, they get trained on how to improve their career. And basically they were like, hey, we have this scorecard. We're going to help you figure out how to improve your career. And then they jump on the call and be like, hey, we're going to sell you this $8,000 product. Kind of felt like bait and switch, not really a good user experience. So that's what we helped them fix as well. And then, improvement, good old fashioned improvements on the automation, the SMS. They were doing a great job doing the sales management part as they were going away from founder-led sales. So there you have it. We're going to continue to scale this. And very exciting place to be. So if you have any questions on live webinars and scaling live webinars itself, let us know. And hope you enjoyed that. Take care.